Welcome back, sci-fi fans, and happy Festivus. This is our first attempt at a Festivus celebration here on the Science Fictionary podcast, and hopefully the first of many, many to come. And so, if you're wondering what this is, of course, you would have to go back and reference the old Seinfeld episode about Festivus to really know what we're talking about here. But it's going to be the airing of the grievances, and tonight it's going to be lighthearted. I mean, yeah, I'm actually going to complain about a few things, but we don't do that much here. We try not to. But tonight I'm going to talk about some things that I'm unhappy about. When I'm done, I will start bringing in guests, and hopefully we'll have plenty of guests show up with their own grievances. But again, it's all in good fun, and I'm just going to go ahead and kick it off. So I'm going to kick my list off with Lucasfilm, and it's probably not what you think. It's not going to be the same old thing that everybody gripes about, although it is probably in our circle something that people do complain about. But um, Lucasfilm has actually earned multiple spots on my list here this year. So, grievance number one: hey, Lucasfilm, where are the movies? Sure, we've gotten some TV shows, and some of them are really great. But you own one of the most powerful IPs on the planet. One of the only IPs out there that could rival what the MCU's done, but you haven't made a movie in 3 years. And it's probably going to be at least three more before we see Star Wars back on the big screen. Star Wars belongs on the big screen. All right, so moving on, we'll give Lucasfilm a break here for a minute and move on to grievance number two. And I'm going to address Ro from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. Ro, I see Ro's in the back room here. He'll be out in a minute. Ro, I know you love good science fiction, but what's it going to take to get you to watch The Orville? You're missing out, man. It's a great show. Grievance number three. Dear Amazon, you recently purchased MGM. With that purchase, you gained some pretty big properties. Few of those properties are bigger than Stargate, has one of the most vocal fan bases out there. Hey, Amazon, where is our new Stargate series? There's been nothing. It's been crickets. And we don't want just any series. We want a continuation of the stories we love with Brad Wright at the helm. Grievance number four. I want to quickly address an issue with the fandom. Seriously, though, what's the point of deciding that you're not going to like a series before the first episode even airs? Sure, you might be disappointed after you watch it. We all have those moments. I'm going to talk about one here in just a minute. But at least you'd have decided for yourself instead of just regurgitating what somebody else told you to think. I know many who missed out on some pretty good shows this year because they prejudged a series: Rings of Power, Andor, Miss Marvel, and The Orville. Speaking of Andor, grievance number five. Why is Cassian's secret knock a shave and a haircut? Finally, grievance number six. I really, really did want to love Willow. I've been looking forward to that show for so long. I've talked about it nonstop since they announced it. And sure, I mean, the design on the show looks really great. The costumes are top notch, but it feels like story writing was way down the list of things that were considered important on that series. The dialogue, the music choices, the scene transitions, unlikable characters, it's a complete and total mess. I was all in for a lighthearted, family-friendly fantasy romp. But instead, we got a show that doesn't appear to respect or to even understand the genre. And that's going to do it for my grievances for 2022. Not that I don't have others, but I definitely want to leave some things for everybody else in the room. I don't want to take them all. And I can't wait. It's been a great year. 2022 has been a great year for the Science Fictionary podcast. And hopefully kicking off 2023, we can get Coruscant Radio Underground back up to a weekly release. And I can't wait to get into 2023. We've got some big plans, big shows planned, and a lot of guests coming up for those first few shows as we get ready to talk mostly Muppets for the first month and a half. But that's going to do it for mine. And so, we do try to keep things lighthearted around here. And it's important to remember that, yeah, I'm complaining, but it's really all in good fun, because at the end of the day, this is not the stuff that matters, especially as we are in this Christmas time of year. And so as Christmas approaches, love one another, be kind to one another, and Merry Christmas. All right, so that's going to do it there. Oh, I see Nick is in the chat. Nick, I did see that you didn't think you would be able to join. If something changes while we're live, please jump in. We'd love to have you jump in. So I'm going to start bringing in guests. We'll go ahead and just bring in everybody that's in the back room. Right now, we have a room to bring everybody in. So, I'm getting shoved. Marisha wants in before I bring in too many guests.
Marisha!
All right.
That was funny.
So I've got some of my absolute favorite guests on here. Ro, thank you. It's been too long since you've been on, and as we get into 2023, I'm going to look at you on a bunch, and I think we're supposed to join you next week. So looking forward.
Yes, looking forward to that. Our first pre-recorded show of 2023, and I cannot be happier that I'm going to spend it with you guys over at the Science Fictionary. Would love it.
Yep. So we got Ro, we've got Lunar Girl, and Dragon Buddy all joining us, and of course, if you don't already, if you're not following the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast or the Escape Pod, please go follow those. And of course, we've had Lunar Girl and Dragon Buddy have been on with us a lot. If you just found our show in the last 2 months, you'd probably think they were part of the regular crew here.
We were a fixture for a little while.
But we've had a really, really good time, and so this is something that we just kind of want to start doing every year. This is going to be our yearly kind of Christmas hangout. We're gonna
there's not enough to do the week of Christmas.
I mean, but it's a chance. We need something to do to hang out with all of our podcast friends too. So
I agree with that.
I can't cook. I can't cook for you all. I mean, I'm cooking for all kinds of people this weekend, but.
I feel that.
And just like invite all the people.
So I mean, anybody who wants to drive down is welcome to come, and I will cook for you.
Warming up the car right now, Andrew.
Roy and I were having steak and etouffee.
Well, Ro wouldn't eat that etouffee, I don't think, but he'd probably eat a steak.
Steaks are good.
I enjoy etouffee.
Well, it's a Cajun surf and turf. You cook a ribeye and you put it on a bed of rice, and then you cover it with etouffee.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Well, who wants to go first? I'm done. I know Marisha's got a few items.
You took all the good ones.
I know. I was gonna say those were some really, really great ones, and I can't wait to kind of touch on some of those.
Yeah, we'll touch on those.
Yeah, but you're right. We usually don't complain. We love what we do. We love what we talk about because it's part of our bloodstream here.
Yeah.
But some of those were really great. And full disclosure, I tried twice to watch the Orville, and maybe 3 times is the charm. So
just
2020.
Just skip the first 2 seasons, right?
Okay. All right.
If you jump into 3, you're going to be amazed. It's
Sounds
wild.
Good. And I'll give you a recap.
But season 3 is like full on Star Trek. It drops
Star Trek.
It drops pretty much all pretense of being comedy at all.
Okay. Maybe 2023 will be my year.
All right. So who else has got some things to complain about? Surely somebody else has got some grievances.
I have some things to complain about.
Really?
All right.
My first bullet point on my list. I stand with Perrin movement. Dude, the guy is a weenie. Okay. He's not a good husband. He is one of those pushover fathers. He is doing nothing.
Oh, you are so wrong, Lunar Girl.
So wrong.
You are so wrong.
So wrong.
You are going to see that Perrin is the best husband ever because of what he's doing. You'll see.
Yep.
You'll see.
The moment in the moment in the limo where he's getting the heat, that's a big thing. You're gonna be like, oh man, he's such an awesome dude.
Yep.
Why? Because a wife is trying to make an alibi by using something that he probably is still doing. He's got a history, he's not a good person.
We'll see.
He loves to just ride on Mon's coattails of success. and throws dinner parties, drinks squigs, like come on. The guy is like a two-dimensional character. It just
we're only
guys
seeing
have
two
to-
dimensions. We're only seeing two dimensions. That third dimension is going to come in the second season. You'll see.
Well, as for season 1, I don't understand why any of you guys are standing with Perrin. That
You'll
was
see.
a big annoyance this year.
Yeah. And the memes kept coming rapid fire too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay, it's slightly moved on to Justice for Henry,
Right.
at the moment. So it's quieted down for a bit.
Let's see. Another one that's on my list. All the Boba Fett hate, the Book of Boba Fett hate that I endured this year. Ro, come back, Ro.
He's gone.
I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett. Do I think it is Oscar award winning? No, but it was fun. And it explained a whole bunch of stuff because Favreau and Filoni have this huge spider web right now, and they're going to be connecting all of those dots. And we absolutely needed that little tiny Book of Boba Fett in order to see where everything else connects, which is going to be coming out within the next several years. I enjoyed it, but I did not enjoy all the hate you guys kept throwing me every single week.
Hey, we didn't. We had you on to talk about it.
Yes, you did. Thank you. You were one of the
we enjoyed it. Of course, that's kind of what we do is we try to like dig into things and find things we like about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things to like about Book of Boba Fett. There are good things in there. There are some really, really terrible things in there. We were just talking about one of them in the chat a minute ago. The Space Festivus. Yeah, Space Festivus was bad.
Mad. Yeah. They honestly didn't bother me that much. They reminded me of like when we were growing up in the 90s. We got tattoos, we dyed our hair, we pierced every body part that you could think of, and all the grown-ups were like, ugh, you're thugs, you're degenerates. And now all of you guys are looking at those mods like they're thugs, they're degenerates, like teenagers and 20-somethings don't exist on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Damn it, get off my lawn.
You kids in your shiny scooters.
Real nerve.
So yeah, I needed to air that grievance because that started all the way back in January. But I still love you guys. What's another one I have written down, and a lot of people who are close to me know that I say this a lot. Being Audrey, not a Kardashian. There's like way too many stupid Twitter wars out there that have like, what does this even amount to? Don't stoop down and be a Kardashian. Be nice and elegant and graceful like Audrey Hepburn would have. So be an Audrey, not a Kardashian. It's too many Kardashians.
Or a Cam or an Adam.
Right? Yeah, those are definitely.
I have no grievances with those two. They kept me laughing like all year long. Even the latest Dark Adam that came out yesterday. That was hysterical.
That was hilarious.
That was hilarious. I loved it. I have one more grievance, but this is mainly directed at a certain Escape Pod co-host. Olive Garden is not authentic Italian food.
I love Olive Garden.
It is.
It's Italian McDonald's.
It is not authentic Italian. Exactly. It is Italian McDonald's. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, something about unlimited breadsticks. That's her right off.
That's hilarious.
And those are.
I'm so devastated.
No, it is not authentic Italian. Like I can make a better marinara in 15 minutes than they can make all day. That they just like snip out of their little bags or whatever they do with their sauce.
So I did. I think it's been 15 years since I've eaten at an Olive Garden, and
Good for you.
pretty much what I felt like I got is this is the reason it was the last time I went. I pretty much felt like they served me McDonald's chicken nuggets with SpaghettiOs poured over the top.
Oh,
Thank you. Exactly.
What's wrong with that?
Hey, no, see
Greasy
that's the thing.
mozzarella cheese.
I'm a guy that'll pop open some Chef Boyardee if I'm hungry. So Olive Garden, I'll take it. You know, will I say it's fine Italian dining like Don says? Oh. No.
Because it's
No.
not.
That it is not. But I'll take some more breadsticks. Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep 'em coming.
And the same thing goes for Carrabba's and what's that chain that Don has near him? Fazoli's or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went with one of those when we were dating.
Did
We went to a show. We went to a Shakespeare play, and it didn't get done till really
It
late.
was the only thing we could find
The
open
only thing we could find
in a
was
scary part of St.
Fazoli's.
Louis.
Yeah, and there's like St. Louis has got some sketchy spots. That was fun.
I mean, saying like that is fine Italian, authentic Italian is like saying frozen Elio's pizza is New York pizza. And it's just not.
fair.
It's just not.
That's fair.
Like authentic Mexican chimichangas.
Yeah,
From
it's
Taco
like
Bell.
somebody telling you that
Right.
Taco Bell is like fine Mexican eats, you know, like
I see.
Go
It's
down to-
all coming
Go down
together
to
now.
Mexico and order a Fritos Benditos. You know, party get.
I'd like a taco supreme, please.
You guys put the corn chips inside? You know.
Fritos. It's a Frito burrito.
I opened up my senor. I opened up my taco. I don't see no Doritos.
That is loco.
Exactly.
So,
Those are all my grievances.
I did add Chantel to the stream here, but I can't tell if she's actually here or not. So
Shanti.
She said she was walking around a mall or something, so her connection might be on her phone.
Wow. Yeah.
Might be really bad.
I would like to expand on what you had touched on with when shows come out. When you have a show coming, especially now, you have a certain amount of people that are allowed to go and watch it first, see a couple episodes. In the case of the Bad Batch, I think they watch all but the last two, and come out with their reviews. And I have found, especially recently, if it's a bad review, I'm probably going to like it. And it kind of goes that route. And Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power was a big one. There were so many reviews about that before it even came close to coming out.
Yep.
There were reviews about it when they were still casting. So
right.
if you have your mind made up that early, there's no way that, I can take what you have to say. And
Granted,
that grievance adds into Twitter itself, where Twitter, YouTube, the hate videos are the ones that get clicks.
Yeah,
the
they are.
clickbait out there is to make you
Those
upset.
awful videos of like these, and it's always women with like this face,
Right.
and then they like distort it even more, so they're even uglier. And it's like, that's not nice. It's just not
Yeah, and
nice.
that's not even a good representation. You sat there for how long,
Mhm.
pausing that show in order to get the most unflattering shot, so I can add it to my
Like
clickbait
these
article
really
about
beautiful
why this.
people, right?
Like, she opened her mouth in a weird way. This is another reason why we hate this place. We hate this show. We don't like it. So that would be a big beef. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, like it or not. It's
Oh, for
something.
sure.
It's not for you. It's not for you. I get it. But just because things don't fly perfectly with canon, just because things didn't go how you had foreseen them, doesn't mean that it's the worst thing ever made. And to treat it that way. And it gets very toxic, even on the good side too, of the people that really like it and the people that really don't like it.
Yeah, no, you get it. You get the toxicity on both extremes.
I've talked about it where it'd be like, I understand why you don't like this. I understand there's just no understanding on the other side of that as well, where you can like things about something and it not be terrible.
Yeah.
So I think that
and I'll still say, and the more that I have time to think about Rings of Power, I mean, I'm a huge Tolkien lore nerd.
Yeah.
And honestly, the more that I have had time to think about it, with the exception of just a couple of things, it's every bit as loyal to Tolkien's writings as what Peter Jackson did.
Yeah, and the cinematography was beautiful. The use of the use of CGI didn't overshadow the practical effects. I thought it was really put together. So, and you caught some of that with people that hate it, but it looked beautiful. Well, that's half of it right there. You know, is what it looks like.
That's definitely something.
Now, I have been laughing. I don't know if y'all been following any of the casting news for Rings of Power. Like, there's a whole bunch of new casting news.
Yep.
I love that. Like, when we had, after The Last Jedi, really even after The Rise of Skywalker, every woman that got cast was Rey's mother. Right. So I love that, and it's been in a very joking way online, but literally every man that has been cast in this new list of cast members has been Celeborn.
Definitely Celeborn.
Right.
Yeah. It's everybody. Doesn't matter who it is. It's, oh, that's Celeborn. Like, So I love that Celeborn has become the Rey's mother of Lord of the Rings here.
True. Very true. Yeah.
Ray froze up and then disappeared. Now, he did say he might have to dip out.
He said his son is hogging the bandwidth in his house.
His son is invasion.
All of the chat is not showing up here, just FYI.
That is true too. I noticed that.
So if you're putting things in the chat and I'm not popping them up on the screen, it's because apparently we've got some lag here in the stream. I'm not sure what's happening, but we're not getting all of your comments. But we will keep watching. Hopefully at some point they'll catch up. Yeah, hopefully at some point they'll catch up. And Marisha's watching it, so if there's anything worth mentioning, we'll try to throw it in. And if anybody new pops into the chat, let me know.
Okay. Brady
popped into the chat. Hi, Brady.
What's up, Brady?
He never showed up here.
So, Marisha, I know you've got a couple of grievances.
I have thoughts. I have opinions. It's shocking. I know. Everyone just pick yourself up off the floor.
I can't wait to see this.
So the goats and Thor: Love and Thunder were really funny the first time. They got marginally less funny every time they mad. And so, like, by the second viewing, they were not funny at all anymore. Too much ghosts.
Done with the goats.
Too much ghosts. Like, you know, my 8-year-old son thought it was the greatest thing ever. Also, he's been listening to the Splatoon theme on repeat for months.
No.
Yeah. So just to give you some inkling of his taste. He's cute, but you know. Okay, so and this is a grievance that I have harped on once or twice before. But for the love of all that is holy and sacred, why the hell does Amazon not have any products for these shows that they're putting out? They literally bought two of the most expensive fantasy IPs in existence. They bought Wheel of Time and they bought Lord of the Rings, and they have zero tie-in, anything. There's no rings, there's no dagger, there's no, you know, Rand's coat, there's no Shadow or Logoth dagger, there's no nothing. There's no nothing of any of this. This does not make sense. Like, Amazon owns what, 70% of the market share of crap that sold during the course of Christmas?
It's true.
They're probably the second largest retailer, or have they passed Walmart?
I'm sure they passed Walmart by now.
What about that?
Either way,
Mm-hmm.
Like Nicholas said, maybe they don't own the merch rights. Who does? And why aren't you cashing in on them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm a sucker for Lord of the Rings things because usually they're different. What you get, like the statues I have are different. The swords, so you wanted to start selling maps of Middle Earth in the Second Age, I'd buy a map. I'd probably.
I looked, DB. I looked. I couldn't find anything.
When they first announced a Second Age Lord of the Rings show, do you remember Second Age maps showed up, blipped for just a minute on Amazon, and we were all like, oh,
yeah,
because it was like we just saw the second coming of the Lord of the Rings movies in 2002 and all the merchandise. Y'all, do you remember all of the crap that you could buy with, or just take it back just a minute before Star Wars? Like they missed the whole memo about merchandising, right?
Right.
Like this does not make sense to me, and it bothers me.
No.
Yeah.
So, grievance number 3. The next person I hear say she, you, I'm going to throw up a building. I am so weary of that narrative. Specifically of that line. I'm tired of it. Woke is real close behind it.
It is.
That's annoying. Woke is annoying.
I just, and here's the thing, like, I tend to be fairly conservative in my tastes. And so sometimes they're like, I sometimes even agree with the point of what these people are getting at. Not always, but occasionally I'm like, okay, if you weren't such a jackass and you weren't just parroting the same idiotic line you've been spitting out for the past 2 years verbatim, then maybe I might acknowledge that you have something to say, but you're just being the worst.
Yeah, no, it's about driving. It's about driving clicks based on hate. It's not about. It's not about being a missionary for your cause, because you don't do that with hate.
Right.
You don't do that with by attacking.
It turns out though,
you don't convert someone to your belief by attacking them.
Right.
No.
Right.
That's what I don't understand is like we were talking about with the Twitter wars and stuff. There's no, and it goes for the world in itself, I think too. There's no conversation. There's passion on both sides. I'll give you that. And there's a lot of good points on both sides with a lot of different topics, but there's never a conversation to get you to understand. It's always, you have to understand, you should understand because I'm yelling at you and telling you you're wrong. But there's that no middle ground where you can talk things out and come to somewhat of a, at the very least, an impasse.
Well, it's like you've got the negativity, but you're yelling at them for being negative, which is negative. So you're combating negativity with more negativity, and then we have a great big pile of negativity, and this is why Twitter is toxic.
Yeah. And I think that might just be an honorary grievance. It's just Twitter. Among the other words that I'm really weary of hearing is Elon Musk. If I never hear that name again, the happier I'll be.
Right.
And like honestly, I don't just have a whole lot of opinions on him as a person. I'm just tired of hearing people talk about him. So my last grievance on my list is I wanted Obi-Wan to be the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I really enjoyed it. It had its perks, but it had some editing issues specifically. It was like, why couldn't you fix this? Yeah. Why do we have to have the Gotham Batman jumping across the roofs scene? Like,
Yeah.
I was, of all the things that were coming out this year, this is the one that I was the most excited about. Like, I, be like, what people talk about it. Like, I don't care. It's going to be I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. And I did, but it had some real issues, and it pisses me off that I have to be like, yeah, it was great, but
yeah,
I don't want to have to give a caveat. I want it to just be great. The end.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the things that piss Marisha off in pop culture this year.
Right.
There's another one that I just thought of that I've been really talking about this whole year too, is why does everybody need you to choose a side? What if I don't want to choose a side? What if I don't care about either side? Like, why is there always a side? Like, you always have to choose a side. I don't care about your sides.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to exist.
Right. And it's just become increasing and like kind of on a serious note, the increasing like sort of narrative where if you're not for me, you're against me. If you're not if you are not on my team in every way and on board with everything that I think about everything, you are a Nazi, you're the devil, you're whatever.
And then you get ghosted, you get written off, you're done. You are erased. And it's like, whatever.
It's a shame.
I don't understand.
We have conversations anymore. Like, so last week I had a friend who was driving on her way from Portland to Florida for Christmas and parked her trailer out in front of our house for a couple of days. She is a vegan who's, rethinking her pronouns, and she's like a very different kind of person than we are, right? We go to church every Sunday. We're really conservative. Andrew Hunt.
Right.
So we all sat around the table and we, like adults, had conversations about important things.
Yes.
And we listened to what the other person had to say, and we were respectful of what the other person had to say. And, even if we didn't learn something, we got to have meaningful interactions with people with whom we are not identical.
Yes.
That is a really becoming a lost art. So, just like I said, at risk of sort of becoming serious here for just a second, that is such a tragedy, I think, and our culturally, that we have kind of lost the ability to be civil to people that we don't agree with about everything.
People have forgotten how to people.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a friend that passed away some time ago, and he'd always come over, and he called coming over to our house, the meeting of the minds, because most of his views were completely opposite over a lot of different things. Politics, what's going on in real life. And we'd sit and we'd have talks, and they were enjoyable talks to have different sides going back and forth and actually finding middle ground to where, I can see something where you're coming from where I wouldn't have seen that had I not had a conversation. And
we used to talk for hours.
He was, he's dearly missed, because that was one of the best things that we had with him, was to be able to sit down and have a talk with somebody who has completely different views on everything, and be able to call him a best friend. We might see things differently, but we focus on the things we have in common, and that's why we hang out, we get along, and we enjoyed. I mean, we couldn't even call it a debate. It was literally a conversation.
And a debate, It's a conversation.
The book of Proverbs says, as iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's one of the things that we can do as friends is, have conversations and, change each other a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So here's a grievance for the world at large. Somebody told Nick that he's part of the problem.
I assure you, Nick, you are not part of the problem.
You know what you did, Nicholas. You know what you did.
Whatever problem it is that he's part of, I would like to be part of the same problem.
How could you be part of both problems, Nick?
Wow.
What?
I feel like if you're part of both problems, you probably did something right.
Bless him.
Yeah.
Literally,
I think that's
the
part of the big
nicest
hole that we were touching on, is that whole,
I think I'm
you know,
here twice now.
Oh no, that's not.
you really think
Wow, you look like a Borg in that other one.
Turn it down. You can hear it.
Sorry, I think our link was broken. I was testing a new link.
Nick being part of the problem, I think, falls into what we were talking about, sides. That people think that if you disagree with something, well, you automatically, politics, you automatically voted Trump. If you're this, you automatically this. You're automatically part of the freedom fighters that want to invade the Capitol. And it goes through so much politics and over everything that, just because I disagree doesn't necessarily mean I disagree with everything you have to say.
Right.
And, got to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm. We're a lot more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes it's easy to sit on the other side of an issue, on the other side of a conversation, and look at people as a position and not as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's sad.
And furthermore, to make assumptions about what their positions are just because you know this much about them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You guys are wise.
Or something.
What about you,
Ro?
Ro has been in timeout. Apparently the link was broken and couldn't get in. But he's back. Ro, do you have any grievances? Or
yeah, I was
else's grievance.
Yeah, I mean, I it's funny because I don't usually complain about stuff. Sometimes I get, I pinpoint on one topic and I'm like, oh, damn you. But I'm not really like a big complainer, but
it's been a minute. So
yeah. So I guess I can let that one go. But I was listening while I was trying to get back on. For some reason, it was giving me some issues there. But I was listening to some of your grievances, and Marisha, I 100% agree with you. I really wanted Obi-Wan to be spectacular, and it wasn't. I think one of the reasons that I really was gung-ho about loving Andor is because that's the kind of quality that I want in my Star Wars. And I know certain people were not really into Andor for whatever reason, but I think for those reasons I was. And the quality of the writing, the quality of the acting, it is nothing that I have seen in Star Wars in a long time, or any other drama that's on television. I think it just happened to be set in a Star Wars world, and I really enjoyed it. As much as I love the fun aspect of Star Wars and the spaceships and the characters and stuff like that, especially because we got Mandalorian. We're living in the Mandalorian era. I did want somebody to take Star Wars seriously, and you guys know my penchant against comedy in my sci-fi. But I do like peanut butter and chocolate together, so go explain that one to it there.
Reese's.
But yeah, I mean, I want Star Wars to be high quality. There you go. Those are, by the way, my favorite movie snack. Somebody had posted, what's your favorite movie snack? I think it was that one account that always just asks questions. But anyways, yeah, it's, I want Star Wars to be top tier. And I know a while ago, Brad and I did an episode called The 10 Things I Hate About Star Wars. And I did mention the fact that, I do want Star Wars to be top tier all the time. I know that's different for different people, but for me anyways, Andor checked off a lot of boxes that made me super, super happy with that show.
And hopefully the missteps that they've made with Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett can help them realize that how Andor is excelling and these are missing. that they can grow from that and give us better. Because
Yeah.
we've been very vocal of how Boba Fett fell flat. I mean, there's parts
Lunar Girl's still here.
I mean, I enjoy it, but I can also say that it really fell flat. Like it came up very short.
Yeah.
And Kenobi as well. There were great parts in there that I really enjoyed watching. Where you're having that moment where Kenobi is realizing Darth Vader is Anakin, and him speaking with Anakin, and having Darth Vader saying, "You didn't kill him, I did." And those moments were
That
great.
was a good part.
But on a whole, you missed it. Somewhere along the way, you focused too much on one thing and should have been the other. The world building fell short. It felt bigger than Boba Fett, not by much. So hopefully these missteps can lead to, something better, because I think Andor was top tier from beginning to end. And when they announced it, I'm like, I don't know if I care. And then the closer we got to it, I'm like, wow, I kind of hyped over it. And then watching it was, I think that's really right up there with Mandalorian and as far as the top tier stuff.
And I think your reaction to Andor, I think a lot of people felt that way. It was like, well, I don't care. Why would I care about Andor? Like, what is this? Right. But honestly, what they did with Andor is what has to happen well with Star Wars for it to succeed going forward, especially if we want to move away from the core original story. If we want to do that, then yeah, you're going to say, hey, guess what? New Star Wars movie. And this is what it's about. And everybody's going to go, what the heck is that? Like, we don't know what that is, because you've got to branch out, and people are going to have to embrace things that are new and different. And that's what Andor was. Yeah. It was new and different. It was familiar in ways, but it was, in Star Wars, it was new and different. And I think people are largely embracing it. I think it took me a while. It took me half the season to really get into it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But once I did, I really loved it. The last 5 episodes are some of my favorite Star Wars episodes.
Yeah, and I know you talk about getting excited for something new, and I think that's one of the reasons that I personally am excited, even with Skeleton Crew, because we don't know what this is all about. Obviously Ahsoka, is coming.
Yeah.
We know the character, we know the people that are involved, we know the characters now. We're getting Hera and
all their backstory.
So Skeleton Crew with the actor that they picked, Jude Law, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I like the guy that's running the show too.
Yeah.
He's done a good job with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too that I going back to the Andor situation, when I started hearing who was involved, obviously I loved Rogue One. It was amazing. And then I started hearing that, the same writers are going to be involved, and you've got the production designer from HBO's Chernobyl, which that show looked phenomenal. It was gritty, so I was like putting like the pieces together, thinking that, making the prediction that this is going to be something extremely, extremely special, at least for me. And it turned out that way. So, I'm again, to be excited. And Shanti said something in the chat earlier today regarding Star Wars not being, something that you are excited for anymore. And it's more of a chore. I feel bad for comments like that for me personally, because Star Wars for me is always going to be an enjoyable thing that I'm going to look forward to, because I grew up on the IP, and I know a lot of people have issues with probably more than 80% of the Star Wars stuff that's out there, and I understand why. But it's still Star Wars. I'm still going to go to it to see if I'm going to like it, to examine it, to pick it apart, to talk about it with other friends and family like you guys. So it's it's interesting. You guys were talking about the Twitter wars earlier today, and I mean, you're not going to convince or change anybody's mind by yelling at each other, and that's the shameful part. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about what you like, or even talk about something that you don't like, but don't yell at me for liking it.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Kelly.
No, it's
I mean, the thing is, with all the with the missteps that Star Wars, that there have been missteps along the way, but there's literally been, I mean, there's one movie out of out of all the stuff that Lucasfilm has released since Disney bought the IP, there's only one piece of content that I'm just like, I can't. And that's The Last Jedi. And it's one of those things. When I saw it, I tried to watch. I saw it multiple times in theater. It was like, I want to like this. Like, it's Star Wars. I really want to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And there were things that I couldn't get past.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, it has become, my dislike of the movie has become less and less about what's actually in the movie, and more and more about what it did to the fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons that I not only dislike the movie, but dislike, I guess, the director's attitude towards the fans for not liking the movie, and then splitting that fandom up in a way that I don't think we're ever going to recover from it. To be honest with you, I think
I don't think it just affected. I think you can see a ripple effect. I think The Last Jedi created a ripple effect through fandoms in general.
Yeah.
I think you see that ripple through things like Rings of Power. I think we're seeing a little bit of it even with Willow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you've got people proclaiming it the greatest thing, greatest fantasy story ever, and it's like, it doesn't even respect the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And what a lot of people don't even take into consideration is that, okay, now we've got 4 major generations that are watching all of this. You've got the boomers, you've got us, you've got the millennials, and you've got Gen Z now. And something that Gen Z, my children are going to watch is not necessarily something that I'm going to love, but they might think it's the greatest thing that they've ever seen. I'm not going to crap on them for it, it very well could be the greatest thing that they've ever seen,
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing. It was like, I just said something when I said that I don't like The Last Jedi that probably will cause a number of people watching this video for however long it exists on YouTube to immediately turn the video off.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
And I want those people to understand, like, if you love The Last Jedi, I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much about love what you love. In fact, I've been working on some things that I'm going to be doing with some shorts going into next year, where I'm literally going to make the argument that there's no such thing as an objectively bad movie, that it's just temporarily subjective. It's that when you talk about objective, it's like, there are things that we would say objectively make a movie good or bad, of course, but those things even change over time. So is it objective, or is it just like a longer term subjectiveness?
That's a great point, because growing up, formally learning how to shoot something in college, camera placement and composition and all that stuff, all the technical stuff, once YouTube came around and once people started shooting like this and movies started doing this, all that stuff went out the window. I want to point out something that Nick says about my comment regarding the fandom will never recover. And it's really sad to think about what he says. He says the fandom will recover when this generation dies off. Yikes. That is scary, sad, and I guess a little true.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that phrase "objectively bad" has been thrown around by a lot of the big YouTubers that are out there, a lot of the big reviewers.
Yeah.
And when they describe how it's objectively bad, you're describing a subjective view, and that phrase is just thrown around without realizing what you mean by that.
No, I don't think they're even trying to think about it. I think that it's just it's objectively bad, and then all for no reason. But you're using
Right.
this thing that's supposed to be a concrete argument against something. Well, it's objectively bad. So,
Right.
but nobody is saying what makes it objectively bad. And like you said, when they do, it's usually a subjective thing. And the thing is like there are things that I consider objectively bad. Of course, if I consider it objectively bad, that's subjective, right?
Right.
But there are things that I consider bad. But there, as far as there are things. I mean, like heck, when we talked Pillars of Fantasy, Xena Warrior Princess and the Legendary Journeys of Hercules are on that list together as one item, as a pillar of the genre.
Mhm.
I love those shows. They're really not very good shows.
No.
But I love watching them. They're fun. And I think that I saw a lot of people saying, oh, well, Willow's just going to be like this. I wish Willow were like that. I wish Willow would have just like, if it was going to kind of be a little silly, sort of anachronistic and off kilter, that they would have just done that. But it didn't want to commit to that. It wants to be taken seriously as high fantasy, but it's not.
No.
Mhm.
Yeah. Every episode I watch is like,
That's the
Man,
way they went
that
with this.
First trailer was so
Oh, the
good.
first trailer blew me away.
It's like we saw that and I was like,
Oh, you know what?
"Ooh."
We can sue Lucasfilm now for false advertising on the trailer. Let's
Hey,
get let's get that going. Yeah.
the Phantom Menace class action suit.
Yeah.
We can see.
Yeah, I mean, like, to really get back to what we were saying there, like, I don't, it doesn't hurt my feelings if you like something that I don't.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of like that's kind of,
Just don't tell me I'm a Nazi if I don't like it.
but that's kind of been one of the really nice things about this circle that we've kind of built
Mhm.
through the Red 5 network, whether it be members of the network or the people that are kind of surround the network. Is that most people in the network are that way. It's very much I don't like it, but if you like it, go ahead.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna tell you that I'm not gonna just say, oh, I like it, just to not hurt your feelings.
Right.
But
Oh, you like that? You
Ro knows that I'm completely honest with him. That dinosaur movie, the Star Trek stuff, the E.T.
E.T.
Yeah, terrible.
Willow.
and Nicole,
Doesn't like Willow, doesn't like, E.T. She's a terrible person, but I won't say that out loud.
My own husband.
Somebody could be sleeping on the sofa.
You know what?
True, DB.
At least you can cook. Come on.
Right.
I can cook.
Well,
She can
she
make
doesn't
some
like E.T.,
marinara
but
sauce
lasagna
in
soup.
15
on
seconds.
point.
I can cook.
That's something.
Can't believe you don't like E.T. Thanks for the soup. This is delicious.
Hey, but
You
at
make
least
those
I'm
comments.
honest.
After she's done cooking, while you're eating, you make
Right,
these comments.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, but at least I'm honest. I never liked E.T., and I'm not just trying to fit in with the crowd.
I mean,
also
yeah.
E.T.'s favorite.
E.T.,
movie.
yeah, there you go. Nice, Andrew.
Hey, maybe I'm working on a sponsorship deal here. Come on.
I don't know. We've been working on Snickers, the hashtag get your together, and they haven't contacted us. So
They haven't. I tagged them in like all of those videos.
I tag them in everything. Eventually I figured they'll look at it.
Eventually, they'll sue you for trying to steal their label.
Like, look at Ro.
Mhm.
He
Oh,
needs a
Ro is
Snicker.
so frozen.
Hashtag Snickers. Get your stuff
Oh,
together.
wow. Okay.
There he is.
I'm back. Something. I don't know if it's my internet. I was gonna ask you guys. I was having a discussion with the real Sean Crummel, and we were talking about how passionate fans are, and it's like if I say that I don't like what you like, it is so personal.
Mhm.
Like, why is that?
Right.
I don't
It's
know.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to wash my hands of it, because if somebody tells me they don't like Star Wars for some reason, I get a little like, I start to like cringe inside myself and ask myself, I won't say it out loud. Like I would say like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Right.
You know?
I gotta keep an eye on this one. Weirdo.
Yeah. But it's weird. Well, we take it personal when we don't like, when somebody doesn't like the stuff that we do. And, I have my own internal red flags about that, especially on Twitter, because we discuss things with people all the time, obviously. And I try to kind of like scroll through. Sometimes I have to like, get in there, but it's funny. Somebody said it earlier in the evening, we are passionate about what it is that we like.
Mhm.
And we are passionate against the people that that don't like the same stuff that we do. It's kind of, I don't know.
I guess I'm different in that aspect, because I'm like, oh, you don't like it? Well, I really like it. Like.
Yeah.
By the way, Nicole and Scott have both joined us in the chat. And guys, if y'all want to jump in, the last link posted in the chat, jump right in with us.
You could post it again, so I don't have to look for it.
I don't know that there's much posted here since I posted them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
both right
think
there at the
so,
bottom.
yeah.
So.
Mhm.
But yeah, jump in and share your Festivus grievances. And I don't know. I mean, I thought Lunar Girl was going to do some feats of strength, but
I do have a feat of strength.
Let's see.
Feat of strength. I love how everybody, even though we're all red 5, every single one of us are different. We all might like almost all of the same things. We all might do a podcast on the same exact topic, especially when there's Star Wars going on. And every single one of everybody's different. Everybody has their own personality, their own flair, and I will learn something new on every single podcast, even if it's about the same exact topic. I love that. I think that is strong. I think that is, being a nerd, a great nerd quality, especially since, I crave learning all the time. So I love that. I think that is a really great thing that I discovered this year, that everybody is different and everybody has something great to bring to the table when they do their pods. I really love that.
Absolutely.
Agree.
I'd say another great feat of strength would be all of the showrunners and the production companies and studios that are out there that made this year a huge year to be a nerd. With all the Star Wars we got, the outside of Star Wars, the high fantasy. This year was packed with more new material for all of these shows. Game of Thrones, new Lord of the Rings, tons of new Star Wars. There was just so much put into this year, and in coming years as well, that it's mind-boggling to know that the things that you like that made you separate from most of society has become the big in on society now, where it used to be you like Star Wars, you like Lord of the Rings, you're over there, like we really, I hear it's good, but weren't part of it. And now everyone's in the fold.
It's hip to be square.
Yeah, it's being a nerd is different now. Everybody thinks they are in some way, and maybe they are. Then there's some of us that have been doing this for 40 plus years, liking these things, and now they're out in the open, and you have feelings about them. And somebody that's liked it, well, I saw the recent trilogy, and these are my feelings. It's strange welcoming them into the fold of something that you've liked for so long, and that your opinions are built on the newest stuff, not the concrete pillars that created this. So it's different, to be part of something bigger.
Let me ask you this regarding that comment. Do you think, again, I was having a conversation with another chat group. I won't name the name, but no, we were having a conversation exactly about that. Do you guys think that it waters down the fandom as a whole? We've got some, I guess original, as they say in the streets of Chicago, some OGs, some original gangsters that are, really love, the core stuff, like from the 80s and the 70s, whatever. And then you've got, people like, oh yeah, I was 9 years old when I saw The Force Awakens and I really love it in the theater. It was my first theater experience. And then now they're part of the fold, but without knowing the base. Do you guys feel that somehow, I don't know, it's watered down? The fandom is watered down because of the new people?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I might not like it and you might not like it. And we know Andrew doesn't like it. And I know DB never liked it. But they can have the sequel trilogy, like let them have it.
Yeah.
Great. You
Scraps.
love it.
There you go. There you go.
Get off my space lawn.
like you can stay over there. You can have it. I'm happy that you like it,
The more people that jump on the bandwagon, the more we're gonna get. Like, sure. If there is no Disney acquisition, there is no Andor.
Yeah.
Right.
There is no,
But there's no Rogue One. I mean, like, the thing is like Rogue One is what I keep going back to when I don't need anything but Rogue One to say, yeah, this works, because
right.
Rogue One is in my top 4 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like it exceeds everything about the prequels, and I love the prequels. I have defended the prequels since 1999. I love them.
Yeah.
It exceeds the sequel trilogy. It exceeds Solo, and of course, I mean, I'm still not ready to throw TV shows up there with movies yet. Even though I think Mandalorian and Andor have given us some great Star Wars. Some of the best Star Wars moments.
Yeah. And if you have those kids liking the sequel trilogy, they're not going to mess with our original trilogy in 10 years.
Well, we had
your Star Wars.
George
Let me
Lucas
keep
is
mine.
the only person who's done that.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is there were people even back then, and granted, like the sequel trilogy is still the pinnacle. I mean, the original trilogy is still the pinnacle of Star Wars. Nothing has really exceeded the original trilogy.
Right.
But
plus, if that's
the
your
original
doorway,
trilogy, there were lots and lots and lots of casual fans. There were
Yeah.
always more casual fans than there were diehards.
Exactly. My own mother's a casual fan, it's that Star Wars show, and it's
I've got people
whatever.
I've got people in that other chat that are watching the original series of Star Trek for the very first time, and I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep an eye on these guys.
Yeah.
I know. We spent a year trying to convince David that he should watch Star Trek. He was like, yeah, nah.
But now he loves it.
I'm glad, yeah. But I mean, David is a good example too of somebody that comes into the fold and kind of seems like he belongs in there because, well, I guess I'm like shooting myself in the foot. It's like, oh, you like our stuff? All right, come on, let's go. You don't like our stuff? Yeah, stay over there. I think as older fans, we might have I think we have a responsibility to steward the new generation into the fandom, and then when Nick's prediction comes true, when we're all dead, then
there'll be balance in the galaxy.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
My whole thing is and I did a short on this a while back. It is not gatekeeping to expect excellence.
Right.
It's not.
It's true. I mean, growing up, I was born the year that Star Wars came out and grew up loving the original trilogy. The prequels came out almost a year to the day of when our oldest was born. She was 2 days before she turned 1, and so she grew up with the prequels. And now you have this new generation that's growing up with the sequel trilogy. And the ones that love the sequel trilogy, it's fun talking to them to see what they pull out of it that's good and that sticks with them. And it's that a lot of it is like with the original trilogy with us, is that nostalgia of being a kid when it came out, and that feeling that you had of something huge. And that alone, we're not getting a retcon. They're not going to say, yeah, that was a different universe, or we better not come to that point.
They're not going to reboot Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous slope. You reboot something, and then there's no original work that's going to survive the test of time.
And I know a lot of people are calling for that. They're saying that the Ahsoka thing is going to be introduced world between worlds, and they're going to split the universes where the sequels exist, and we can go forward over here. That is a dangerous slope for a business and for a franchise, because you are telling the fans that love the franchise in that direction. Yeah, they're okay, but you guys can stay over here. We've got something else to tell the other fans that didn't like that aspect of it. You just have to lie, make your bed and lie in it. I mean, like I said, as a business is a bad way of doing it.
Yeah, the film industry alone, I mean, that the entire industry becomes part of this, that it doesn't matter what fandom you're in, what movie you're making, what show you're making, there's a chance to say you sucked at it. It exists over here. We're redoing it. Forget it.
Yeah.
And it's okay not to like everything,
Yeah.
You just don't have to go and rub everybody's nose in it who does like it, you know?
As far as the whole world between worlds thing goes, I won't say that no one will do that. I mean, Filoni opened Pandora's box when he introduced that. But as long as it's Filoni making the story, he has said multiple times that was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
That was a one-off. We destroyed the game.
Right.
I do want to know what happened to Ezra and Thrawn, though.
There are stories with the Shadows of the Sith book that was out, that you have that there's plenty of stuff to work with behind the scenes to build upon the sequel trilogy. You found out who Rey's her parents were. You found out, Exodus or Exegol was a real thing, and people, were in tune to it. So you can build upon it. But I think the future of Star Wars really lies with, let's leave the legacy characters. Let's start exploring stuff that's new. There's an entire galaxy that you can work with, an entire timeline you can work with, before, after, during, over here. That I think the further we move away from really leaning on legacy characters, the better we are.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm looking forward to Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte, because it's going to be brand new. We're not going to know anything.
I'm terrified of the Acolyte, but at the same time, it is doing what I've been asking. It's going into new areas. And so, I mean, that's what that is the future of Star Wars. As I think that they bought Star Wars and then found themselves really scared of, well, is Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia and R2-D2 and C-3PO and Chewbacca, is that Star Wars? Like, is there Star Wars beyond that? And I think that the heads at Lucasfilm went, no, there isn't. Because the only person at that point that had created anything outside of that sphere was Dave Filoni. As far as on the television, obviously there were always books, but I think that Lucasfilm, for whatever reason, has been scared to branch out. And there were talk. I remember when they first started talking about the sequel trilogy, back when that was first coming up, was, can Star Wars survive without the big three? Like, or is it the big three? And of course, as a lore person, I'm looking at it going, this is an infinitely big sandbox.
Yeah.
But when you start branching out in that infinitely big sandbox, you're going to create things that aren't going to appeal to everyone in the fandom.
Right.
That's just the nature of the beast, and that's okay. Marvel has done that,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't let it slow them down. Marvel has done things that don't appeal, especially in the TV realm. They've not been afraid to create for, and you can. It's harder to do it in a movie where you really need the money. It really has to make money. It needs to appeal to a broad fan base, but with a television series, it doesn't have to appeal to as large of a fan base. And it gives you room to branch out. And that's what I do appreciate about the TV side with Marvel and Lucasfilm going into the TV game, is it gives them a testing ground to see what works before they start trying to throw these things up on the big screen.
Right.
And of course, and I will readily admit, it's going to lead to some colossal failures. It just is. Marvel hasn't even really had their colossal failure yet. They've had some weak showings in Phase 4. I still believe as Marvel continues to grow, at some point they will have their colossal failure. They're going to do something. Now, the Eternals is kind of like almost there. But they're going to do something eventually, and everybody's going to go, "What did you do? Like, why did you do that?"
Right.
But I think you can't grow a universe in a sandbox this big and not have hiccups along the way. And I hope that they can manage those to where they're not massive hiccups, where they're small hiccups, where and I think that even as a whole,
Obi-Wan.
Well, I think even as a whole, the sequel trilogy is not a franchise destroying thing. It's not. Star Wars has survived just fine. I mean, look at the stuff we've gotten since the sequel trilogy ended.
Sure.
Especially with Andor and The Mandalorian. We've gotten some fantastic Star Wars since the sequel trilogy. So,
and I enjoyed The Force Awakens. I really enjoyed it,
Yeah. But I'm not ready to throw dirt on the grave of Star Wars just yet.
You mean it's not dead yet?
It's not dead yet. It's not quite dead yet.
Chris Gore just recently posted that Star Wars was dead, so I was just checking in with you guys.
It's not dead.
Well, this Gore says that it's
not. Yep, absolutely.
And my name starts with an A, his starts with a C, so my opinion comes first.
There you go.
That's the way it works.
That's the way it works. We don't make the rules. They just exist.
Let's see. So, anything else? Or I guess it's probably, unless anybody else is going to jump in, it's probably a good time to start kind of wrapping up. But kind of as we do, to kind of leave everything. Ooh, we lost Dragon Buddy. To kind of leave off on a positive note. What are you looking forward to the most in 2023?
So much.
So much.
We're. I mean, there's a lot of good sci-fi, but we're in a golden age for maybe the first real golden age for fantasy television.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic because I think the technology of filmmaking, the advances have allowed filmmakers to tell more stories in a way that we would welcome, with special effects, with visual effects, not only on the big screen, but on the small screen, making the technology, cheaper to create. It allows these storytellers to really, ramp up their storytelling techniques. If they wanted to do something in a certain, universe, they can now because there's so much, tech that is available to a lot more people. Even the fans, when you see some of these fan films, I mean, sometimes you look at them and you're like, wow, that's like, that would have been unfathomable just 10 years ago. But I think that,
Well, I mean, even there's been a few times where I've walked in a room and the kids are watching Clone Wars and it's a space battle scene. And I'm like, what movie is this?
Right.
Because even the animation of some of that stuff looks so good.
Yeah.
He literally came in. The kids were watching Attack of the Clones, I think. He's like, which Clone Wars is this? And I was like, nuh-uh.
Yeah.
No, this is straight up.
Yeah, which prequel is this? And it's like, no, it's
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 animation.
a TV. It's an animation.
Yeah.
Uh,
And coupled with Kevin Kiner's music, it's like, wait a minute, I don't remember this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. It'll throw you.
but you, Marisha, what show, what movie are you most looking forward to in 2023?
What am I most
Because there's so much.
forward
Hard
to?
to pick.
So I am most apprehensive about the second season of Wheel of Time because the first season was real hit or miss for me. But if it's good, I'm really excited about it. But if it sucks, I'm going to be pissed. Let's see. The thing that I'm just the most excited about, I don't know.
Jude Law.
You know, I do really love me some Jude Law. Like, I'm old enough that I'm like, oh, it's Jude Law. Yeah. So, I'm really curious about how that's going to go. We're not going to get our next. We're not going to get Lord of the Rings this year, right? That'll be next
2
year.
years.
Correct. Yeah.
2 years. I don't know. I'm just kind of honestly haven't really kept abreast real well with everything that's upcoming. So I don't even know what my thing is that I'm.
I would have said. I mean, I'm really, really excited. I think this season of The Mandalorian is going to be something special.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I'm really, really looking forward to that. But honestly, I would say on the movie side, I was most excited for Ant-Man Quantumania. That trailer kind of blew me away, but I wasn't expecting it. But that the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer looks really spectacular.
Yeah.
So I'd say right now, I'm probably most looking forward to that Guardians film.
Oh, and on the small screen, I'm looking forward to not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion, yeah, that looks
that looks really good.
I
watched the trailer the first time and I thought it was going to be a movie, and then it said series streaming on Disney. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah. So I've been kind of like watching Lucasfilm, watching Marvel try to get a grasp of shifting from big screen to small screen. And it felt like Andor, even though I love The Mandalorian, I still think The Mandalorian does more for the lore of Star Wars overall. So I really like Mandalorian, but
sure,
I think Andor is the first time where I think that they hit on all cylinders. Like everything works. It's a true, it's as close. I mean, obviously they'll keep pushing this boundary, but like it's as close to Star Wars on the big screen as we've seen on the small screen.
Yes.
And I really get that, and I really get that feeling about Secret Invasion, where I've kind of, Marvel has had some hits and misses and hiccups along the way of making that transition from movies to small screen and figuring out how to. I think everybody is still trying to figure out how to pace a 6 or 8 episode series. But I looked, that trailer for Secret Invasion was the first time I watched that trailer and went, okay, like Marvel might have finally figured out this whole TV thing. Like it looks like a movie, and we're getting it on television across. I'm not sure how many episodes. Man, I don't know if y'all are having internet trouble or.
I don't know.
Right.
I've never gotten a warning on my computer. Made this weird sound. Said, "Guess what? There's an update. We're restarting now." And it restarted. I'm like, okay. And then I came back and I had no sound.
Yeah, well, Rose broke
There's another grievance.
too, so I don't know.
Technology.
Yeah, but I also know the Melon app is for some reason, and I know when I clicked on it on my phone, it was like it brought up the like the tech support, and it was like, we're all on vacation. It was like, I can tell.
Yeah, right.
So if you did try to jump in here tonight and weren't able, I'm very sorry, but it does look like the app has been a little unfriendly to some people that might have tried to join tonight.
But it's fair. It's 2 days before Christmas. Let them have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? Let's see.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
When is the second part of Dune coming out? Is that this year?
Oh, that's my thing. That's my thing.
I want to see that. I'm really looking forward to that. That and, of course, Ahsoka.
I haven't seen any updates on it, but supposedly it's this year. I don't think
Yeah, they're
they've
saying
said it.
2023. That's all I can get.
Yeah.
Because I've
And I
been
would
looking.
like to see it on the big screen this time.
Oh, that one was totally worth seeing on the big screen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
hmm
Yeah, that was a great one.
Anybody hasn't told us what their favorite or most looked forward to thing for 2023 is?
I just want a podcast with more red fibers.
Yeah,
Sounds like
definitely want to do more of that.
Yeah.
We should start doing a Red 5 hangout like once a month.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. I know the Sarlacc boys wanted to do that. They actually just said that next year we really got to try to do that. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was not what I meant to do.
Oops.
By the way, I think we've discovered what's going on with the world.
The purgatory thing?
It's purgatory, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what's been so messed up?
Yeah,
We've
and,
been in purgatory for the last 10 years.
Nick pointed out that if it's purgatory like we got in the last season of Lost, that could explain some things. I think we're onto something. The good news is purgatory, it eventually ends,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
That's the theory.
Yeah.
That's how purgatory's supposed to work.
Finally, balance in the fandom.
Yes, we will finally pay all of our cosmic dues, and it'll get better.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So, real quick, let's go around the room and let everybody know where you can be found online. I will start with you, Lunar Girl.
All right. You can find me on any of the Sidebar Cantina socials at Sidebar Cantina on Twitter, at the Sidebar Cantina on Instagram. You could also find me working the Stranger Things Has Happened account on Twitter. And we usually go live on Saturdays at 6 p.m., but we're off for the next couple of weeks, so sorry. We're on holiday break.
Okay.
All right, Ro, what about you?
We are also on break. We usually do our Scarif Lives on Saturdays at 7 o'clock. But I think the last one we did was we hung out with Wikipedia. But yeah, we're all our pre-recorded stuff is also we're taking a break. I'm trying to push people to check out our back catalog. We are I'm trying to get we are on our hashtag road to 35K downloads of the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. And this is not just for this year, this is like all time since we started in 2019. So we're at 34.9. So for people to, like I said, I'm pushing, making sure that people have, checked out our back catalog. There's a lot of wonderful podcast topics that we've produced with some friends and patrons and, and Red Fibers as well. So looking forward to doing a lot more of that next year. And just look us up, Scarif Podcast. Like the name says, we are the Scarif Scuttlebutt Podcast with Shanti and my buddy Brad. Whenever he decides to update his computer.
All right, DB, what you got?
You can catch me on Wednesdays, 7:05, ATSW The Escape Pod. You can find us bio.link/ATSW The Escape Pod, where I'm joined with Don and Brady. We talk about things we like. Very rarely do we talk about something negative. Very rarely do we get to the topic. Sometimes it's an hour in. Sometimes it's sometimes we feel like we need to rush this through because we're almost out of time and it's getting late.
Mm-hmm.
But we try to have fun, and that's what our podcast is really all about. Is just to say some stupid things and to have fun with friends and join in on the chat. You come into the chat on the ATSW Escape Pod. You will throw us off the rails. We will read it, and we'll be happy about it as well. So you catch me there. Red 5 Tavern. We're taking the rest of the year off, but on Fridays, the Red 5 Tavern. D&D on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Look us up. We have so much fun. There's been a core group of us and a lot of people coming in and out. We have a great time doing some D&D. Some funny clips that Lunar Girl throws on the TikTok for the Red 5 Tavern where we're all goofy about it. So that's where you can find me. Twitter at dragon_BUDD, 2Ds, double the fun.
Cool. All right, Marisha. Can people find you online?
I don't like the internet. People are mean. Occasionally, though, you can find me on Instagram. I am princesses_and_no. Y'all, my words are like done. It's kind of a miracle that I managed to get as many words as I did. Princesses_and_Padawans. That's my Instagram, and my Twitter handle is ppadawans.
Now you know how now you know, Marisha, how I feel when I have to transfer time zones.
Poor Marisha's like, trying to make the perfect holiday and doing the podcast.
Cut her some slack.
Yeah. The pressure once you have kids to like and invite all of your judgy relatives over for
oh my God,
Christmas Eve is real.
Make a show out of it.
Hey, now it has been discussed. like you ever seen the
How many times does the Gore household say Elon Musk during the holidays?
A little counter down on the bottom.
Too many times. That's it. You've exceeded the criteria. Not criteria. Whatever. I'm done. Talking.
Yeah.
And your turn.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for our Festivus celebration and the airing of the Grievances. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed hanging out with everybody tonight. To y'all that joined me here live, thank you very much. To everybody that joined us in the chat, thank you. We will plan to do this again next year, so maybe more people will join in on the festivities. But we are looking forward to 2023 and all that it has in store. You can find me running the Twitter account for this show at @Sa_Fictionary. You can, of course, find all of our podcasts at Red 5 Network on Twitter and at bio.link/Red5, where you can find all of the Red 5 podcast family, and there is truly something there for everyone. So thanks again for hanging out. And until next time, have a Merry Christmas.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.